We have a couple more.
Faith, can you just tell me when everybody's in?
We've got one more still joining. Okay, looks like everybody's in.
Thank you. So this Livingston City Commission meeting on August 23rd is called to order. Roll call, please.
Chair Newts,
Here.
Vice Chair Kale,
Here.
Commissioner Friedman,
Roll call.
Present.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Present.
Commissioner Lyons.
Here.
All right, everybody's here. So before we do public comment, I want to share with you commissioners that I did have COVID, and one of the things that was impacted is my vision. And so tonight I'm going to be asking Vice Chair Kale to run the meeting since I'm having a hard time managing the screen and reading at the same time. My vision's not quite what it used to be at the moment. So if you're ready, Vice Chair Kale, I'd like to just switch seats and have you run the meeting. So we're switching virtual seats.
Sure, I can do that, Melissa.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we are glad to have you back on the commission with us and participating tonight. So thank you for being here with us. So we're just going to roll right along, and so we will start with public comment. Individuals are reminded that public comment should be limited to items over which the City Commission has supervision, control, jurisdiction, or advisory power. This public comment period is for things that are not on our agenda this evening. If something is on the agenda this evening, you can give comments at that time. Does anyone have public comment for items not on the agenda this evening? If so, raise your hand, come off mute, or put your name in the chat. I am seeing no public comment this evening. So we will go ahead and I'm going to close public comment and we will move on down the agenda. First thing on our agenda this evening is consent items. We have 4 consent items on the agenda this evening. Commissioners, does anyone want any of those consent items pulled? I am seeing none. I actually am going to ask to have consent item D pulled because I have a quick question. So I'll ask to have that. Do I have a motion for the other consent item?
Make a motion to approve consent items A, B, and C.
Second.
I have a motion by Schwartz and a second by Friedman. Roll call, please.
Chair Kale. Commissioner Newts, Vice Chair Friedman, or excuse me, Commissioner Friedman. This has got me all messed up. Commissioner Friedman.
For your vote.
Yeah, 4.
Commissioner Schwartz.
4.
Commissioner Lyons.
4.
Motion passes. And then I'll just say for consent item D, Mrs. Lowy, I did not see any applications in the packet. Did we receive applications from these folks that have applied?
Let me unmute. It looks like what's in the packet is the unanimous approval letter signed by the tree board chair, Dr. Desnick. So I do not see the applications here, but it looks like they were reviewed by the tree board and they unanimously voted on these 2 individuals.
Okay, I just wanted to double check that we didn't specifically need to have those before we move those folks forward. So as long as
I think their recommendation is sufficient.
okay. All right, that was my only question. Any other discussion or question on consent item D? Chair Newts?
Just for consistency in the future, I think it'd be nice to have the applications in the packet like we've done in the past, but in the future. I agree. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you, Chair Newt. Any other questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve consent item D.
I'll second.
Motion by Lyons, second by Schwartz. Roll call, please.
Chair Kale,
Or
Commissioner Nudes,
For,
Commissioner Friedman,
Four.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Four.
Chair Lyons.
Or
motion passes. We are going to move, we have no proclamations this evening, and so we're going to go ahead and move along to scheduled public comments. Our first scheduled public comment will be Chris King of the Livingston T-Bid. She's going to present the FY 22-23 T-Bid budget. Mrs. Lally?
Thank you. With this, I would actually just turn it directly over to Ms. King to go over the work of the T-Bid and their budget. Thanks for joining us, Chris. I appreciate it.
Hello, everyone. Lovely to see your faces. So the T-Bid hasn't done a report in the past when we've been doing our budget. So I thought we should do a little summary of what we've been working on for the past 2 years since we've been the T-Bid. And we have a list of all of our accomplishments and some of our challenges, as well as plans for the future. Has everybody had a chance to review those details?
I believe so. Chris, it looks like I'm getting head nods, I think, from most folks.
So we have projected 20% less than last year due to the flood. Each individual lodging has had quite a bit of variety. In some people are at similar rates and some are quite a few less. It ranges between down 5% to down 40%. So 20 is approximately average of that quarterly income. And you can see where the expenses are for, and those are reviewed regularly at the T-Bid board meetings. So we've reviewed our partnerships, our marketing, our outreach, our events, as well as specific projects that the T-Bid has originated, including the free downtown shuttle, which was a request of T-Bid to have a hotel to downtown Friday and Saturday evening shuttle to see if we could have more of their hotel visitors come downtown and not have to drive and spend money in our historic downtown. There has not been a lot of ridership, and so the T-Bid board will be reviewing whether or not we want to continue that in a future summer season. We have also partnered with some wayfinding signs, a mural at the Neptune's Eatery, which is where the vehicle charging stations are. There's both a selfie spot and also some calls to action to stay, shop, dine, and play in order to capture those people who are charging their vehicles, and in hopes that they will find out what bands are playing, what restaurants are open, and they'll be so charmed they will want to book extra time in our town, whether they were planning it or not. We are working with URA, and I'm happy to say that the Livingston Gallery Association partnership also is that we'll have new wraps with art by local artists on junction boxes, and that is slated to go up the end of September. And we've been working on both COVID era funding for the last previous year, and education and information, and now we've been working on our post-flood recovery, and we're partnering with the Gardner Chamber on a Pick Your Path to Paradise campaign, in which we are encouraging visitors to come from around the state and spend money in our communities. We have multiple itineraries, and there's lots of different ways for people to get excited about things to do in the community, and a few things that even locals may not be aware of, such as axe throwing at Sage Lodge or Frisbee golf at Chico are a few of the things that a lot of people don't know that can be done in our region. There's been a lot of turnover in hotels, which has created a great deal of challenges, as well as workforce housing remains the greatest challenge. We're still working with all of our partners to look for what does a truly sustainable tourism year-round economy look like, and what are the things that we can do to continue to emphasize cool weather visitation and education and information for the busy summers. Obviously, this is not a normal summer because of floods. And those are the main elements. We have quite a few plans in the future, including cleaning up landscaping in the meridians near exit 333, updating the billboards, which are grandfathered in from Gil's Got It. We would love to have more murals. We're creating a hashtag Livingston mural trail promotion. And we would like to have an all are welcome inclusive business signage project, and continue to expand all of our opportunities with the many partners on what some of the sustainable tourism looks like, as well as our messaging as a BIPOC and LGBTQIA+ welcoming travel destination. Are there any questions?
Thanks, Chris. Commissioners, any questions for Chris while we've got her here? All right. Yes.
I'll
Chair
ask a
Newt.
question. Yeah. First, Chris, thank you so much. I think it's really fun to hear what you're working on, and I at least get so much positive feedback about what you all are doing downtown, and the mural projects this summer has been really fun. So I wonder, can you share a little bit more about the murals, like how many have come up just summer and what the future looks like?
Well, there are 3 new murals this summer, and the mural trail that I have right now has, hold on, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there are a dozen murals, and if anybody in the city or on this call has more information about the mural on the shelter near the Sacagawea Park Lagoon or the band shell, I'd love to get some more information about like who helped fund things, who are the artists who were involved. And so we're going to, I've already started to tag on Google that these are part of the Livingston mural tour, and TBID has requested a poster a postcard that will have the mural trail on it, and then that will be given out at all of the hotels, as well as we'll be promoting it on our website and social media as it gets more developed. There's a lot of evidence that when people go to a mural trail, they spend money at the local businesses. And so we'll be emphasizing that, and and also hopefully it will engage locals as well to enjoy that. And we're hoping that a lot of these new murals become the place where people get their senior photos taken or their engagement photos, as well as selfies. One of the ways we would like to engage the community is to have a contest for selfies at each one of these murals. And then we would use the best selfie as the image on the websites, illustrating that mural. Because sometimes it's not obvious that there's an intention for an interactive, like if you hold on to the flower at the Where Women Were Birds mural, you can blow the anemocoric seeds, and you're meant to hold on to the kite tail at the kite mural on Neptune's Eatery, things like that. And I've learned really fascinating things, for instance, about the history of the Yellowstone Ballet Company mural, what it was about, and the history of that particular building. So a lot of that information will really help visitors and hopefully locals alike just feel more engaged and part of their community, and an opportunity to have some fun.
Thank you. I think it's fantastic and really fun and engaging, and I live here too. So thanks for coming and sharing with us and all the new and interesting and engaging ideas you're bringing to our community. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris, for all that, your hard work on this. I know you've been doing a lot of work around trying to get folks here after the flood as well. And thank you so much for all that hard work. I am going to, if my fellow commissioners are okay with it, I'd like to move action item A forward to now so that we can do that while Chris is here and she doesn't have to sit through the entire meeting. So unless I hear an objection, I'm going to go ahead and roll in that direction. All right, hearing none, we're going to do action item A, discuss, approve, deny, approve the T-bid annual budget for FY 22-23. We heard some information from Chris King just now. Mrs. Lowy, anything for us?
No, I think Chris has covered it fairly well. There is a document in your packet beginning actually on page 67 that is a line item budget. So I would refer you to that if you had any specific questions. And Chris, I just sent you an email about the mural by the lagoon and band shell for where you can get some additional information. Thanks.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So first I'll ask, because we're in an action item, commissioners, any questions, clarifying questions for either Chris or Mrs. Lowy around this action item? Commissioner Lyons.
Just really quickly, I see that the projections are for 20% less in terms of revenue, and I'm wondering how that's tracking with how this year has gone. I understand that we don't expect next year to be the same as this year, but just how is revenue compared this year to the year before, and how does that inform that 20% projection?
I would be happy to share a year-to-year, quarter-to-quarter projection from the state, which is different than the city. So we don't have other than information directly from each one of the hotels in the city limits who give us their quarterly reports and assessments. We don't have as thorough information about projections, but I can certainly share if you want me to do a screen share of the year-to-year all of the Park County bed tax money, which is tracked pretty closely. And for instance, the first quarter that was up 37%. Quarter two was down 21%. But I can share that if you like. And then I also have the recent collections. And like I said, it's kind of inconsistent. Some hotels are up, some are down, some are similar year to year. And we have a board meeting tomorrow in which we will discuss more projections for the fall. The state of Montana Tourism Department would like to know what hotels are seeing for their winter numbers, and so that they can make some decisions on. They did $1 million Montana is Open for Business campaign, as well as Yellowstone Country is also doing some targeted campaigns. And so they would like some more information from the individual hotels about what their winter projections are to decide on how much money they want to spend on promoting winter visitation. In addition, because right now all the campaigns are running to about fall. Does that answer your question, Commissioner Lyons?
Yeah, thank you.
But I'd be happy to share those some of those numbers if you want me to do a screen share, or I can.
I don't think
Okay.
that's necessary. Thanks.
Okay.
Commissioner Lyons, anything else? Okay. Any other questions? Clarifying questions? Okay, with no questions, do I have a motion? And then we'll open it up to public comment.
I'll make a motion, we approve action item A.
I'll second.
A motion by Newt and a second by Schwartz. So let's go ahead now and open it up to public comment. Please raise your hand, put your name in the chat, or come off mute. Leslie Feigl, I see your hand up. Full name and address, please.
Yes, hi, this is Leslie Feigl, the Livingston Chamber, 303 East Park Street. And I appreciate you giving me just a moment to speak this evening. After seeing the document that was put onto the agenda, we drafted a document again, after seeing that it was a clear case of defamation of character, again, for the chamber from Chris King. I spoke with Lisa Lowy yesterday after the document was pulled down, and this attack is just completely unwarranted. So after I get this clarified and taken off of their budget, first of all, I'm going to tell you something else. I went to all of the hotels, their chamber members, and it was very disappointing to hear that not one of the hotels voted on this budget. They need 5 to 7 board members. That is in the bylaws. Not one of these hotels voted on this budget. It would be probably not a good thing if the city commission were to not hold this vote until the new board that's in place, and they are still short one new board member, to be able to pass this vote at the next commission meeting. This is a taxation that is gathered from the hotels. And so it would be wise not to vote on an item that was not done legally by not having a full board vote. And, so with that said, there are some great things that the TBA is doing. There are also some allocations of funds that are not in the proper place, and the new board wishes to work with Chris King to be able to clarify a few ways that the funds could be used differently. So I would be, I'm very interested to see where it's going to go in the future. The last thing I want to say here, my board is on the call tonight as well. We are very, very tired of the constant attacks. We've kept them out of the public. We've kept them away from the commissioners, but we did notify you on one of them. And because we're just not going that route, but this was in poor taste that this was put onto her documentation. So with that said, I just hope that you take that into consideration. And I also hope that you heed my word about the voting on something that should not be voted on tonight, that it should be held. Thank you very much, you guys, for this evening.
Thank you, Leslie. Patricia Graybell, I see your hands up. Full name and address, please. Patricia, are you there? Patricia, it looks like you're off mute, but I don't hear anything. Let me ask if there's any other public comment. Well, maybe Patricia's getting situated. Any other public comment on action item A? I don't see any other public comment. Patricia, can you come off mute? It looks like you're off mute, or turn your camera on so we can see you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now, Patricia. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Patricia Graybo, 204 East Callender Street, Livingston. I'm a hotel, now a hotel, proud hotel owner downtown. the second hotel in downtown Livingston.
Patricia, we lost you again. Patricia, I'm going to give you one more moment to see if you can get situated so we can hear your comment. Oh, looks like maybe your audio's
Hear me
connected.
now? Can you hear me now?
Yep, yep, try again.
I'm so sorry. Patricia Grabo, 204 East Callender Street. My family has been in the hotel business since 1890 here in Livingston. Gratefully, the Grabo is now considered a hotel. Again, 84 years after my family lost the building. So 23 years, my son and I worked hard to bring it back to the status it has now. I would encourage, I have been president of the Downtown Building Owners for 15 years, and I have loved and cared for everybody in the downtown. We always got along. We always enjoyed each other. There was no public display of anger at any group as there is tonight. I think this commission, it would behoove this commission not to pass this budget tonight. First of all, there wasn't a quorum present. And secondly, it contains material in it that is critical of another group downtown. That is absolutely unheard of in the state of Montana. And it's been going on for 2 years. It is time that we care about each other, that we work together, that we encourage each other. And that's not happening in this resolution tonight. My suggestion to this commission is that we finally do some discussion on what is on that budget tonight. By the way, there was a T-bid presentation in May as well. But I just cannot believe that this commission would consider passing tonight what is before you. It does not reflect well on the nature of our community. We are a community. We care about each other. And I'm just chagrined that that would come out of this beautiful, loving, caring town that we are all part of. Please do not pass that budget tonight. It absolutely must be looked into. The language that's in there must be looked into. The language that is in there does not reflect the character of the people of Livingston, Montana. And I would please have you consider tabling this budget for this evening, if you would. You already passed the T-bid budget in May. That's incorrect that this isn't coming before you at this point. So please, we are better than this. We are much better than this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other further comments on action item A? I am seeing no further comment. So we'll go ahead and close public comment on action item A. Commissioners, discussion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Schwartz.
I guess, can I direct this question to Courtney regarding, since the question was brought up about that this wasn't voted on by the T-bid is what Ms. Feigl was talking about. Can somebody answer that question? And is that required of the T-bid? I make myself clear enough or not muddled enough? Yeah, well, yeah.
Would you, go ahead.
Thank you.
Ms. Llewellyn, are you able to answer that question?
I believe so. I have looked at the T-bid bylaws as well as their meeting minutes from May when they approved their budget. Their bylaws require that they have not less than 5 or more than 7 members, and that a quorum exists if there are a majority of the members at the time present. In this case, the meeting minutes reflect that there were 3 present, which would be a quorum for the lower number of 5. And it appears that their minutes and bylaws were properly managed. I do have one quick question for Chris, though, just to make sure of one thing. Chris, and you may not be able to answer this off the top of your head, but it appears that in that May meeting, the annual budget was approved, and then there was also an approval to switch to a fiscal year. Is that correct?
That is correct. And we have worked very hard to recruit members. And as you have approved all of the TBID members as they come up, that's why we listed in our challenges that there's been so much turnover in hotels and management. 6 of the 9 hotels have changed ownership, most to out of area owner groups. And so we have worked very hard to recruit more board members and have the balance, which is reflected in TBID's bylaws of smaller hotels. And a lot of it has to do with capacity for those individuals who have the time to run the hotels and the front desk and join a meeting. I have also sent out invitations to all of the out of area owners that they can join the board. And because we are currently meeting via Zoom, they can be present without having to be in the area. And I literally do not communicate with them one single time without doing board recruitment. And I have checked with the city as far as whether or not the Graybo has passed all of the regulations to be an official hotel. And as of last week, they had not filled out the proper paperwork for that to happen. Otherwise, that application from Patricia Graybo would have been considered by the board. And so we've done our very best, and we continue to literally every time I go in, I ask again, here's the board application. We'd love to have you. It's an hour, 10 months out of the year via Zoom. It's not a heavy lift. We'd love to have you, and removing every possible barrier. But because of so much turnover and out of state ownership and turnover of managers, that has been a huge challenge, and that is why there is not more board members. But I'm happy tomorrow we will have our 3 new board members. And I hope in the next month or 2 that we will be up to 5 or even 7. That is always the goal. And we've done the best that we can do given the great challenges of the turnover. Does that answer the question?
It does, Chris. And I'm going to screen share for just a minute here. I apologize for the little musical interlude. So, let's see. I believe that what you should be seeing is the minutes from the May board meeting.
Courtney, no, we're seeing the city web, the city webpage.
Well, let's try that again. Okay. can you see the minutes now?
Yes.
Okay, so if you see present up here, 3 of their board members, and then if you see down here, motion to approve the annual budget right here. Motion approved by Joel, second by Malcolm, approved unanimously. And then I will also share with you their quorum. A quorum of the board consists of a majority of the number of directors in office immediately before the meeting begins. And as I said before, they're allowed to have no less than 5, no more than 7. So even if they had 5 at the time, a quorum would be 3. Does that answer your question, Commissioner Schwartz?
Yes, it does. Thank you. I just, since it was brought up, I just wanted to make sure it was clarified that it did go through and was passed by the board. Thank you. At this point, I yield.
And real quick, so the switch to the fiscal year, although this was approved earlier, and this is actually a calendar year, it will be going forward a fiscal year, which starts in July, in order to coordinate with all of the other Explore Livingston partners. And so that was decided by the board after that was approved. And so we wanted to make sure that it went by the city and to do an overview of accomplishments and our many challenges. And also just to call attention to the fact that all that has been accomplished has been done so despite the challenges.
All right, thanks, Chris. Commissioners, any other discussion, deliberation? Chair Newt?
I just have one question, and it's kind of piggybacking off of Commissioner Schwartz's question. So I'm remembering that LBID, we have, keeping it to our jurisdiction, I could use some clarity from staff on what exactly our jurisdiction is over LBID, because I believe it's very limited and often we're asked to do things that we technically don't have jurisdiction to do. So I could use a reminder.
Mrs. Lowy?
I think for this one, Courtney has been more intimately involved with what a potential jurisdictional issue would be or not be with the TBID, so I will let her speak to the legality of that at the moment.
Great.
Chair Newts, can I get you to ask your question again? I'm not sure I caught it all.
Yeah, so, in the past when we've talked about this particular group, I believe our jurisdiction is pretty limited. And I'm trying to remember exactly what our jurisdiction is over LBID. I think it might be voting on bylaw, like we approve the bylaws maybe and the budget. But other than that, I think the board has the control over the LBID. But I just want to make sure I'm remembering correctly what exactly the commission's role is over LBID, because often we're asked to intervene or do things that technically are not our jurisdiction when it comes to LBID or TBID or CVB or et cetera.
Right. So you're absolutely right. You do approve the budget and you also approve their bylaws, but you do one other thing. You approve the board members for them. Yeah.
And then the board has control over the
All
staff,
of the
like
decision making.
the executive director. And okay, thank you.
Correct.
And is there, I guess my only other question, Commissioner Kale, would be, is there anything else we need to know from staff about things that might have been said tonight? Just to keep the commission informed, because there are kind of a lot of things, and I just want to make sure we're staying on task and just hearing the things that are relevant to what we're voting on.
So I would direct those questions to Ms. Lowy, Mrs. Lowy, or Ms. Llewellyn, if either of you have anything else that you feel like we need to hear based on public comment this evening.
I think we've addressed all of the issues that came up in public comment, but if there's something you think we missed, we'll certainly revisit anything that you'd like to talk about.
Exactly. I think we've covered everything.
Chair Newts, you still have the floor.
I yield. Thank you so much for answering our questions.
All right. Any other
Ma'am.
questions? Yes.
Yeah, Madam Chair, just clarifying question. Commissioner Newts brought up the LBID. This is strictly the T-bid that we're working on and has really nothing to do with the outbid at this point, correct?
That is correct. We are just
Okay.
looking at the budget for T-bid this evening.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying that, for correcting me too.
Any other commissioner discussion, question? All right, seeing none, I'm going to call for roll call, please.
Chair Kale,
Four.
Commissioner Nudes,
Or
Commissioner Freeman,
4.
Commissioner Schwartz,
4.
Commissioner Lyons.
Or
Motion passes. All right, we're gonna flip back into the regular flow of our agenda now. And so now we are back to scheduled public comment. The second one is Shannon Holmes, Public Works Director, presents the Regional Sewer Extension Project update. Mrs. Lowy.
And again, I will turn this over to Director Holmes to go through his presentation concerning this. Shannon, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Good evening, Vice Chair Kale and members of the commission. Hope everybody's having a good summer. Wanted to give you all an update on our regional sewer project, AKA Green Acres Sewer Extension, Montag Sewer Extension. As everybody knows, the city received the highest score in the state for our grant application and was awarded $2 million. Yay. Another yay is TD&H just recently completed that design and submitted it to DEQ. So we are continuing to move forward with the project. I did have a little PowerPoint that I included in the packet, and if I may get some assistance from Faith, that may be beneficial. All right. So with the completed design and updated construction estimate, we are looking at a $3.9 million project. As previously stated, we did receive that $2 million grant. So we're looking at a remaining balance of about $1.9 million. So the impact fee calculation, just assuming the 168 properties at the 4506, which equates to about $757,000, brings the net balance or the estimated project cost to 2.66 million that we would need to create an SID for and share those costs over the 168 properties that would be included in the SID boundary. If you recall from previous presentations, more than likely that SID assessment is going to be based on square footage of each parcel. And I want just to remind everybody that the city itself is the largest property owner within the SID boundary. We own Green Acres Park, which is about 3 acres. So next slide, please. So again, previously stated on our grant funding, so we will be moving towards the administrative process for that grant. In this slide, we did update the schedule. And as you can see, the preliminary construction plans and specifications are complete. They've been submitted to DEQ. We plan to continue to host public meetings with Green Acres and Montag residents. And our goal at this point is to have DEQ approval and actually be able to go out and advertise for construction bids come December. And hopefully in January, we'll get some very good and competitive bids from good contractors. And then once we award that construction project and we actually have a final construction cost, we're going to look at creating that SID in the months of February and early March, and hopefully be able to start construction later on in March if the spring weather allows that. So the important thing I think to remember here is it's ultimately going to take advertising and bidding and awarding the project until to truly figure out what the true project cost is, so we can create the SID. And Paige has already been working on that, and I think we're in good shape with our bond counsel in that process. So next slide, please. This is just an overview of what the SID boundary would entail and the sewer main extension and alignments to pick up all the parcels within the Green Acres and Montag subdivision. So we have sized the pipes and the to accommodate additional capacity if there are additional county residents that request to be annexed due to failed septic systems, or if there's a proposed development that would be adjacent to our infrastructure as shown on this plan. So just for reference, our sewer mains are still going to be around 12 feet deep at the very north end of Green Acres. So there certainly is some room to be able to extend that to the north if need be. Next slide. All right, so referring back to the SID creation, that's a pretty straightforward process, but we'll certainly include you along the way and make presentations where necessary. Two of the big questions that I really need the commission to be thinking about, just so we can convey accurate information back to the residents, is the requirements for the connection to the new sewer. I believe our grant is really going to hold that to a rather expedited timeline. The premise that we scored #1 in the state was to get 165 septic systems onto city sewer and their wastewater be treated at our facility. I want to remind the commission that our city code states that when you have a sewer main available, you have 60 days to make that connection. So that is something that we certainly would like to revisit, just to confirm that that's what the commission's desire is for connection time. And we can make sure we adequately notify the residents of that decision. And then the other big one would truly be the impact fee assessment, and what that amount is, if it's the full amount that any other resident would need to pay or developer to connect to city infrastructure. As you recall, we did have an impact fee study that's less than 3 years old. So we are confident we have a lot of our capital improvements and capacity expanding projects that need to happen, that this money certainly pays for, and how that calculation is going to be included in the SID. So I think it was a good opportunity to be able to just kind of give you an update on where we're at in the project, what our schedule is over the next 6 to 8 months, and then hopefully get you thinking about the timeline for connection and then the impact fees. So with that being said, I would certainly entertain any questions.
Thank you, Shannon. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Chair Newt?
First, thanks Shannon for this great presentation. I'm so excited to hear that Livingston was #1 for the grant. I know it seems like not that long ago, but it was quite a few years ago now that Commissioner Schwartz and I went out with you to Green Acres back before they were part of Livingston. So it's great to see it come along and a big chunk of money go towards the project. My questions are, and I know we'll probably have to have more detailed conversations, and so if you don't have the answers now, that's okay. But my first question is, you know, if the city ordinance says 60 days to connect to the infrastructure, I wonder if is 60 days reasonable given the supply and contractor constraints that have come up over the last couple years? Like, is that's one of my questions. And if you can't answer now, that's okay. We can talk about it later. But my other question too is for a project of this size with so many septic systems, does the city have a significant? Oh. Thank you. Somebody's
Please
coming
make
off
sure
mute.
that- Yeah, but please make sure you keep yourself off mute. Put yourself on mute. Remove Jen Pearson, please, and Jack.
Oh my
F.
God, my ass.
Remove Jack F. Please remove Jack F.
Did we lose Carrie?
I accidentally put her in the waiting room. There was
Niggers, they can all burn in hell. I fucking despise niggers. Lynch niggers, rape niggers. I hate niggers. I'm not out of the circle, nigger. No. Oh.
And so I'm going to stop us all right now. And I see an Erica without a last name and a PS without a last name. I'm going to ask you to please turn your video on for a moment so I can see that you are an actual real person. Thank you, Erica. I appreciate that.
You bet.
You can turn your video back off.
Okay.
PS, I need you to turn your video on so I can see that you're a real person, please. Erica, you come off mute. If you'll just go back on mute, thank you. PS, one more time. I need to see that you're a real person. I'm going to ask Miss Llewellyn, can we remove PS? I don't know that they're a real person attending the meeting. Nope, there they went. Okay.
I think that took care of itself.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we're at Chair Newt asking Shannon Holmes some questions. So let's go ahead and resume.
Yes, so my first question was about the 60 days. I know that's what our ordinance says. I'm wondering if that's feasible for these kinds of projects in the current contracting supply world that we're in. And then the second question I had was for a project of this size, when there's so many septic tanks in close vicinity, does the city play a major role, like in a way that we normally wouldn't, in helping coordinate projects like this to keep the costs down? Or what kind of information can you offer the commission that we might not know about this particular kind of infrastructure update?
So first of all, those are excellent questions, and I'm going to respond with your first question in a yes and no. So yes, there are quite a few residents out there that are already being proactive, and in some cases have actually done the work to put the sewer service from, say, their lift station out to their property. I want to remind you, we have a website dedicated to this project where we do updates, and we also have a very we have a subcommittee that's made up of Green Acres residents that I'm very grateful for, that do a lot of groundwork for this project. So thanks Dennis Springer and that group for all they do. But so yes, I would say if you have been proactive, and we have been talking with the Green Acres residents for almost 2.5 years about this project. And even with the Montag residents, we're going on a year at this time. If you procrastinate and wait till we do the bid opening and award the project, say in January or February, absolutely, there's going to be some challenges with contractors scheduling. We're not aware of material supply shortages for the size of sewer main that we're putting in. We're looking at well over, almost 2 miles of sewer main, and based on our discussions with local contractors and suppliers, there's adequate supply for 8 and 10-inch sewer mains. 4-inch sewer services are the standard. You can go to a lot of the plumbing stores and be able to purchase 60 to 100 feet of that relatively easy. So those that are proactive, I would say yes, they've already have been doing their homework. In some cases have done some of the work, and others are in that process as we speak. And again, not to put Dennis on the spot, but he had Williams Plumbing, a contractor, come, and he invited his neighbors to come and participate in that discussion to get more information. So that type of effort is ongoing with this project. And certainly now that the plans have been submitted to DEQ, I can assure you that myself, Martha, Matt, McGee, our team will continue to involve the public. I would anticipate a public meeting at, say, the field house in September, late September. And we're certainly going to stress to everyone that this project is real, and we're going to be bidding it in December, and what the updated schedule is. So I hope that helps you with that. So the second part of the question is absolutely. We look at value engineering with any and all projects that we do. And one major revision that we made with this project was actually raising all of the sewer mains a foot to save on costs. We want to make sure that the sewer main is deep enough at the north end of Green Acres to accommodate gravity flow from people that have basements, and there are a fair amount of basements in Green Acres. So we don't want to limit people to have to put lift stations and have that perpetual electric costs and maintenance costs. So, but 12 feet based on our growth policy and what the future land use map is, we certainly want to make sure that we're planning for the future with extensions and making sure that we have capacity, because the last thing we want to do is have to do an upsize for something that maybe complies with the growth policy in this area. So utilities have been a challenge with this area not being in the city for many decades. There was a free-for-all. So one of the reasons why our design was prolonged was there's a lot of private wells and community wells in the Montag subdivision. And so we spoke to a lot of residents, spent a lot of time out in the field, trying to track that information down to minimize any surprises during the construction phase of this project. Another, I think, value engineering that we did with the residents, and it went to a vote, was looking at the alignments on putting the sewer main in the street versus the alley, or creating an alley at Green Acres. And that was a significant cost savings, just looking at and that was a community decision by the residents. So I hope that answers your question, but yes, absolutely. Anytime we can reduce the cost, that's our ultimate goal.
Yeah, so did they decide to go through the alleys then? Was that cheaper?
They decided to keep the sewer mains in the street.
Okay.
Because of the utilities, because of the trees, because of the landscaping, and the city's requirement to have a 20-foot alley so we can maintain those sewers into the future. So it was a vote that was actually, for lack of a better word, it was a landslide to keep the sewer mains in the alleys, which ultimately causes more of a challenge for the connection for the sewer to their homes because the septic systems were primarily in the backyards.
Right, I thank you for the update, Shannon. That's really helpful, and it touches on a lot of the concerns I remember that were brought up. However many years, 2.5 years ago, you said when we went out there. So that's really helpful. Thank you so much for the update and your continued engagement with our community. And I yield. Those are my questions.
Thank you, Chair Newts. Commissioner Lyons.
Thanks, Chair Kale. And Shannon, another great presentation. I very much appreciated your points on the future decisions that the commission is going to have to make around this. I think that's really helpful just to get us to start thinking about it and help us to understand how we play a role in this process. So thank you for that. You mentioned the special improvement district and impact fees, and as I understand it, those are two different means of generating revenue to pay for the project. And could you please explain kind of the difference between those? I mean, I understand what impact fees are. How does that fit into the context of the special improvement district?
Okay, I'm going to ask for Faith's assistance to put it back on maybe the agenda packet, page 38.
Okay, give me just one.
I think it may be the page before that, Faith. I apologize.
Sorry. Okay, there we go.
All right. So, Commissioner Lyons, so with the updated project costs based on the design we submitted to DEQ, we're looking at about a $3.9 million project. With the grant at $2 million, the remaining cost before assessing impact fees or project costs would be $1.9 million. Assuming this 168 properties at the current impact fee for, say, a 5/8 3/4 inch water meter, which the majority of the residents have, that equates to $757,000. You add that to the 1.9, which is the balance on the construction estimate, and we come up with a net balance or a total project cost, including impact fees, at 2.66 million. That's what, if the commission ultimately decides to require all 68 properties to pay that full impact fee, we would be creating the SID for that 2.66 million. And I don't have the exact numbers, and at our next presentation, we can provide you this in the decision-making process. But even if you take that 2.66 and divide it by the 168 properties, you're looking at anywhere from about a $15,000 to $18,000 SID assessment for each resident for a 20-year SID payback. Does that help answer your question?
In fact, I'm more confused, but I don't think it's your fault. So the project cost $3.9 million. We got a grant for $2 million. So there's $1.9 million remaining to be paid for.
Yes, for construction alone.
For construction alone of the project. Then if each property owner is paying the city an impact fee of $4,500 a piece, that generates $750,000 in revenue, which, as in my apparently naive understanding, then you would take that away from the remaining $1.9 million left to be paid, which would bring it to $1.2 million. So can you help me get past this?
So I think with your rationale, you're assuming that 100% of the impact fees that we're collecting from those residents goes back into the sewer main extension project, where the impact fee calculation includes a lot more than just the sewer main extension. This is other capacity expanding projects citywide or at the wastewater treatment plant that the calculation for the impact fee per connection came from.
Okay, that's helpful.
So, we're looking at having obviously additional costs at the water treatment plant, which we have the capacity for, but we're also going to be getting 168 residents daily sewage being treated through the facility.
So that's how 1.9 increases to 2.77 is through the cost to the rest of the system, not just the construction of the lines.
Absolutely.
Okay, sorry, and that's all there, and I just needed to talk through it in order to catch up to you, and my apologies.
No, I think it's a good discussion, and I think if you look at the impact fee, system development fee, city code, that 757 goes back, and that's a benefit for all the residents in Livingston and not just the 168 residents that are paying to extend the sewer. And that maybe give you a different perception of what that money is accumulated for and how it benefits Livingston as a whole.
I really appreciate that. I was thinking myopically as it relates to just this project, and obviously impact fees are not just about the sewer line that's in my alley. It's about the whole city system. So I appreciate that. And that's all, and I yield. Thanks, Shannon.
Thanks, Commissioner Lyons, and that was really helpful for me too. So thank you, Shannon, for walking us through all that and those questions, Commissioner Lyons. Other commissioners, any other questions for Shannon? No? Okay. Shannon, thank you for answering all those questions for us. That was really informative and helpful. And we certainly appreciate you. So thank you so much.
Well, it's my pleasure as always to present to the commission, and by all means, if any other questions come up concerning this project, please let Lisa know, and we'll work together to get you answers.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. All right, we're going to move on to our next scheduled public comment. So Shannon, don't go anywhere. Building and Planning Department and Public Works Project List presented by Shannon Holmes and Jim Woodhall. Mrs. Lowy.
Thank you. We wanted to provide kind of an opportunity to show all of the projects we currently have going on our plates in both building as well as public works and planning. So we provided this overview list, and while I don't think we need to read everyone into the record for the sake of time on this meeting, did want to give Shannon, Jim's not able to be here this evening, but give Shannon a chance to kind of highlight any projects or answer any questions that you all may have about the projects on the list. Thanks.
So
Shannon, go ahead.
I'm just going to make a general statement. There's no shortage of workload in public works these days, and a lot of these are very exciting projects, and in a lot of cases, some of the development projects have recently gone through the zoning commission and annexation process through the commission. So hopefully they look familiar, and others fall under our site plan permit process. And then others are just internal projects that we're working on ourselves, thanks to the budget that you recently passed. So we're busy. There's a lot of progress being made, obviously. I hope that impresses you, but Martha and I are very busy, and our crews are doing a great job. And I just want to emphasize, we are still, even as of this date, 10 people short in Public Works. And I just can't compliment the crew at Public Works, and was very happy to see on the city Facebook page today some acknowledgement of the tennis court resurfacing and the rebuilding of the dock. And I hope little projects like that, I hope people appreciate that there is a lot of time and effort and we're doing it right. So be happy to answer any questions you have on the list.
Thanks, Shannon. Commissioners, Commissioner Lyons, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks again, Shannon. And I'm wondering about what the plans are for landscaping at the skate park. I brought this up in a previous meeting. And I'm just curious, like, what the final plan is. As it is right now, there's like small gravel around part of the park. And it's actually causing some safety issues at the park. So I'm curious what the final vision is there.
Certainly. So I'd actually be happy to share. So before we even built the skate park, Commissioner Lyons, we had TD&H do an extensive geotech work there and do a site plan that showed curb and gutter, sidewalks, and parking spots that both complemented the skate park and the civic center, and Maggie and her staff and the events there. So with the budget that the commission approved back in July, we are going to move forward with doing some of those hardscape amenities like sidewalks around, and we'd really like to finish using the decomposed granite to fully surround the park itself. And it needs to be wetted and compacted with a plate compactor. But myself and Dan have been in pretty close contact with Jamie Warren, who is my understanding the lone representative of the Skate Park Association. And we've been in contacts with Jody Litchfield, who is a local expert in landscaping. So we're happy to have new funds in this current year budget to keep progressing with the landscaping and sidewalk and pedestrian and active transportation improvements around the park. The other big thing is, hopefully in a week, the septic tank in from the civic center is going to be physically removed, and it'll be connected to city sewer. Yay. And that is actually going to open up some more of the footprint between the existing park and the softball field. So that's exciting as well, to open up some more footprint there for the area.
Thanks, Shannon. Maybe I should get in touch with Jamie or someone about specific details for the landscaping.
Absolutely. Do you know Jamie by chance?
I don't.
Okay, I'd be happy to forward his contact information through Lisa to you, and I think you would enjoy meeting Jamie and working with him on a vision there.
Great, I appreciate it. I won't take any more time on my pet project. Thanks, Shannon.
Thank you.
Other commissioners, any questions for Shannon about the project list? Chair Newt?
Yeah, I don't have questions. I just want to say how much I appreciate this update on the agenda. That's one thing I missed about being on the planning board, was the updates from Matthew and Shannon. And I just really want to acknowledge how much our city does to stay proactive with critical infrastructure like water and sewer. I know it's not by chance, and that it's because of staff that's thinking forward into the future, that we're not reacting to problems, but instead we're being proactive and keeping our water quality protected. So I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited to see this list, and I'm really excited we're in a proactive space and not reacting to some sort of tragedy. that has happened because of our water or sewer infrastructure. So thank you to all of the commissions and staff before us and current staff and commission to keep us in this place. I think it's fantastic.
Thank you, Chair Newts. Any other questions, comments? Shannon, I'll just say thank you to your team for working so hard, and I know that you're down those extra folks. So thank you for keeping up the good work and keeping things moving forward. And we certainly appreciate you and your team. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to present tonight, and it takes a great team, and fortunately we have a great team here in Livingston, and we wouldn't be able to do all this without Matt at TD&H and Martha and our administrative team. We're rock stars. I'm just gonna say it. Lisa, Courtney, Paige, Jim. We keep all these projects moving forward and at a lot quicker pace than you'll see in other larger communities. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share our projects. I yield and have a good night.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you, Shannon.
Well, all right. Well, thanks so much. And we're going to go ahead and keep moving on down the line here in the agenda. We have one public hearing this evening. Yeah, one public hearing. And so I'll just remind individuals are reminded that testimony at a public hearing should be relevant, material, and not repetitious. We'll go ahead and I will read this public hearing. We'll give Ms. Lowy a moment to make any statements on it, and then we will open the public hearing up for public comment. So this is ordinance number 3035, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Livingston, Montana, requiring all buildings to comply with the building code and amending ordinance number 2053 as codified by Chapter 6 of the Livingston Municipal Code by adopting by reference the 2021 International Building Code, the 2021 International Residence Code or Residential Code, the 2021 International Swimming Pool and Spa Code, the 2021 International Energy Conservation Code, and the 2021 International Existing Building Code. Mrs. Lowy, any brief background before we open the public hearing?
This is coming before you again for the second time. This is for the public hearing and ultimately the vote to adopt the International Building Code that has already been adopted by the state. So if we are to maintain our enforcement authority, this is a requirement for us to do that, is to formally adopt this code. So this again is a public hearing and then a vote. But we have been through kind of some of the information concerning this in a previous meeting. So I'll entertain any questions or welcome opening it up to the hearing. Thank you.
Commissioners, I'm going to go ahead and open up to the public hearing first, and then we can ask questions after. So this public hearing for ordinance number 3035 is now open. If you would like to make public comment during this public hearing, please raise your hand, come off mute, or put your name in the chat. I am not seeing anyone. I'll give one more last call for any public comments on ordinance number 3035 in this public hearing. I am seeing none. So we will go ahead and close this public hearing on ordinance number 3035. Commissioners, any questions on ordinance 3035? All right, seeing no questions, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 3035.
Second.
I have a motion by Newt and a second by Lyon. Commissioners, discussion, deliberation. Any? I know we've seen this before, so. All right, roll call, please.
Chair Kale,
4,
Commissioner Nudes,
For,
Commissioner Friedman,
four,
Commissioner Schwartz,
Four.
Commissioner Lyons.
Or
motion passes. We'll keep moving along here. Of no ordinances this evening, so we're moving into resolutions. Resolution A, resolution number 5062, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Livingston, Montana, fixing the tax levy for the fiscal year 2022-2023. Mrs. Lowy.
Thank you. This is a standard resolution that we do once we receive the taxable values in from the state, just to essentially correct or adjust the budget to represent that final figure. In the budgeting process, we do an estimate. We were very close this year with only an $18,000 and $607 difference. So kudos to Paige. When you look at the scope of our entire budget, that is pretty much right on target. So this is just to adopt those changes. And Paige is here with us this evening. If you have any specific questions about how this process goes forward in terms of filing our final budget or any corrections with regards to these taxes. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lowy. Commissioners, any questions for staff at this point? No questions? All right. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 5062.
again,
second,
I think Commissioner Lyons beat Commissioner Friedman on that one, but I have a motion by Commissioner Schwartz and a second by Commissioner Lyons. So let's go ahead and open this up to public comment. If you would like to make public comment on resolution 5056, please come off mute, raise your hand or put your name in the chat. I am seeing no public comment. One more call for any public comment. All right. I'm going to go ahead and close public comments on resolution 5062. Commissioners, discussion, deliberation, thoughts?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Schwartz.
No, just want to commend the finance department, especially Paige, for doing a great job again, as usual. What was the total mills last year, just out of curiosity? I think it was pretty close to the same, wasn't it?
Paige, if you'd like to answer.
Let me pull that up real quick, Quentin. Commissioner Schwartz, excuse me.
Yeah, what was the total mills last year? It's still about the same, right?
Correct. So last year we levied 151.32 mils.
Okay.
The value of that was $2,512,644. And that's just the general mill levy. This year, we're levying 154.43 mils with a total value of $2,873,612. So roughly a $200,000 increase from last year. And a lot of that is attributable to newly taxable property from bringing in the new property that we have annexed in 2021.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. I
Any
yield.
other? Thank you, Commissioner Schwartz. Any other discussion? All right. Thank you, Paige, for all your work on this. And that was super close. That was amazing. Great work. So let's go ahead and do roll call. Roll call, please.
Chair Kale,
4,
Commissioner Nudes,
4,
Commissioner Freeman,
4,
Commissioner Schwartz,
Or,
Commissioner Lyons.
Or,
motion passes. All right, resolution B. Resolution number
Madam Chair?
5063. Oh, yes, sir.
we're close to our 7 o'clock break. I
Let's
just,
do it.
Bringing that
That's-
to your attention. Sorry, I
that
meant to
sounds
do that
great.
when I
No, that's perfect. Thank you, Commissioner Schwartz. I appreciate that. Let's go ahead and take our evening break. And as we have in the past, because we've got some extra folks in the city hall, we're going to do a 10-minute break. So we will be back in 10 minutes. All right, let's wait till we get Commissioner Lyons back. All right, looks like all our commissioners are back. Mrs. Lowy, we good to go on your end? Lisa, we good? Are you good? Okay, all right. Thanks. All right, well, let's just continue on with our meeting. And we left off, let's see. We left off at resolution B, so resolution number 5063, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Livingston, Montana, levying an emergency millage to cover damages and expenditures incurred as a result of the declared emergency and disaster for the 2022 Yellowstone River flood. Mrs. Lowy.
Thank you. This is an option for us to do emergency mills to levy for the portion of damages that will not be covered by FEMA. Generally speaking, FEMA has a 75% reimbursement rate with a 25% in kind or match, if you will. In this case, the value of these two mills would be $39,857. We have utilized this once before, I believe in the 1996 flooding. I'm looking to my historian Courtney to verify I'm getting the nod. It was 1996 when we had the last large flood, and we did levy some emergency mills then for this same purpose. So a resolution is required to do this. And if there are any questions about the mechanics of this, how we got to that figure, I would refer to Paige, who is still here with us through this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lowy. Commissioners, any clarifying questions about this for Mrs. Lowy or for Paige? Chair Newt?
I know I've had a chance to chat with Mrs. Lowy about some of the impacts. I wonder if there been any sort of, and there may have been, and I may have missed it, like some sort of city press release or sharing on our webpage or something what the impacts to city infrastructure were. Because I know people have been curious.
Nothing formal. We're still waiting for a final assessment report of the scouring damage to the levee, and final figures with regards to the wharf, which took on water for weeks. Literally was in high flow mode for weeks. So we're still assessing some of that to be able to put together a final report, but we're working with FEMA and meet with them weekly to go over damage in various categories, costs, and do those assessments. So we should have something shortly, but I do not have something right at this moment.
Thank you. I yield.
Thank you. Chair Newt, any other clarifying questions, commissioners? All right, if we have no clarifying, any other questions, is there a motion?
make a motion to approve resolution 5063.
Second.
I have a motion by Schwartz and a second by Newts. Let's go ahead and open this up to public comment. Is there any public comments on resolution number 5063? If so, raise your hand, put your name in the chat, or come off mute. I am seeing no public comment. We'll give last call for any public comment. All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Commissioners, discussion, deliberation. Anything?
I guess I'll chime in and say that I am grateful that we have had not the tremendous impacts that we could have had. I mean, we obviously had impacts, but compared to other cities in Montana, I'm glad to see we're doing okay in spite of the natural disaster.
Thank you, Chair Newts. We thank the staff for working with FEMA to figure all this out and to get those funding, to get the funding that we can get for the damages that we've occurred and working towards these solutions. So thank you to Mrs. Lowy and the staff on that. Any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Chair Kale,
For,
Commissioner Newts.
For.
Commissioner Freeman,
4,
Commissioner Lyon.
Or
motion passes.
Can I vote?
Yeah, I was gonna say, weren't we one short? I was like, that seemed short. I'm sorry.
Aye.
My apologies.
That was an eye from Commissioner Short. I felt like we were one short there. Sorry about that. All right, moving on in our resolutions. Resolution number 5064. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Livingston, Montana, using its temporary ad hoc committee for a vision for the disbursement of the non-entitlement unit American Rescue Act plan funds to review the applications and make recommendations for funding. Mrs. Lowy.
Thank you, Vice Chair Kale. This resolution is coming back to you to extend the work of the ARPA Visioning Committee into reviewing the received ARPA applications and making recommendations to the commission for final disbursement of those funds. We're on track right now for the group to review the applications on September 22nd. We will have a follow-up meeting on September 29th if needed, and then they would come before the commission in the second meeting in October with what those recommendations are. We've already received 2 applications, and I've spoken with 5 or 6 entities at this point around the application process, some technical questions that they may have. And so we are moving forward. And I see that Tim Stevens, our chair, is on as well. So didn't know if he wanted to make any comments. You wanted to welcome him to make any comments about the work this group is doing. Thank you.
Thanks, Mrs. Lowy. Tim, do you have anything you want to tell us, let us commissioners know before we move forward on this, since you are the chair of the committee?
Yeah, oh, no, hi, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair. Good to be here. I really don't have anything to add other than just to, again, express our deep thanks to both Ms. Lowy and Faith for helping us move this thing along in an efficient fashion. And we're raring and ready to go and to help and appreciate the opportunity to help make an impact in the community. So thanks for your trust in us, and we look forward to working with you on this in the future if you approve the resolution.
Thank you, Tim. Commissioners, any questions for Mrs. Lowy? And then also Tim's here, so if you have any specific questions for Tim, I'd entertain that. Mrs. Lowy, feel like 90 days is enough? I see we've got the 90 days in here. I think I think that's long
Yeah,
enough.
we should be able to wrap up fully by the second meeting in October for you all. So that would be within the 90 days.
Great. Any other questions from the commissioners? All right, seeing no questions from the commissioners, is there a motion?
And 064.
Second.
I've got a motion by Schwartz and a second by Friedman. So let's go ahead and open this up to public comment. If anyone has any public comments on resolution 5064, please come off mute, raise your hand, put your name in the chat. I am seeing none. One more call for public comment. All right, seeing none, I'll go ahead and close public comment. Commissioners, discussion, deliberation. Chair Newt.
Yeah, I just want to thank the committee for their willingness to stick around a while and help us through the next round and send us some recommendations. It's really helpful and it's really great to see so much citizen engagement. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to offer thanks.
Thank you, Chair Newt. Anyone else? All right, I'm going to thank the committee as well for deciding to continue on with their work. We appreciate it tremendously. With that, roll call, please.
Vice Chair Kale,
4.
Chair Nudes,
4.
Commissioner Friedman,
4.
Commissioner Schwartz,
4.
Commissioner Lyons.
4.
Motion passes. All right, we are moving on to action items in the agenda. We've already covered action item A. So I'm going to go ahead and skip down to action item B, which is discuss, approve, deny special event application from Owl Lounge seeking waiver of open container enforcement for the 2022 end of summer bash. Mrs. Lowy.
Thank you. This is similar to a previous request, I believe, for the PBR event, where they seek to just not enforce the open container law for their bash. We have received all documentation required. The adjacent property where they would be holding this event, still downtown, is on board. We have all of the permissions, all of the insurances, everything we need. The last event went off without a hitch or a problem, and we don't anticipate any issues with this event either, and think this would be a great event for downtown. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lowy. Any questions, commissioners? I don't see any. I'm going to ask one quick one. So this setup is the same as what it's looking like to me as what they did over 4th of July, and that was a success and went well, correct? No
Correct.
complaints.
Correct.
Wonderful. All right. I don't see any questions from our commissioners. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Oh, go ahead. You beat me.
I'll make a motion to approve action item B.
I'd be happy to second that.
All right, I've got a motion by Lyons and a second by Schwartz. We'll open this up to public comment. You have public comment? Come off mute, raise your hand, put your name in the chat, please. I am seeing no public comment. I'm going to ask one more time for public comment. All right, I see none, so we'll go ahead and close public comment. Commissioners, discussion, deliberation, additional thought. Seeing none, let's go ahead and do roll call, please.
Vice Chair Kale,
4.
Chair Nudes,
4.
Commissioner Friedman,
4.
Commissioner Schwartz,
4,
Commissioner Lang.
Or
Motion passes. All right. Action item C. Discuss, approve, deny, approve payment of invoice for Ergen Alexander Zadek, PC, for $12,093.04 for services of outside counsel for the city commission, exceeding the commission's professional service budget for FY 21-22. And this is really a commission-led item. So, I mean, I certainly can speak on this as well. This is the invoice for our outside counsel that the commission approved several months ago. And we did not have a budget item in our budget for any sort of outside counsel. So of course we are over budget. So we need to approve this to get it paid. Mrs. Lau, anything else?
Yeah, I did just want to enter in that one of the concerns with the bill as presented, it is not in our usual format. It is a summary bill, a summary statement. So I wanted to be certain that every member of the commission had an option and the ability to view the itemized bill, to verify all of the charges on the bill, to make sure that they're consistent with your expectations. That is part of our discipline here when we review all invoices, to make sure that the hours charged are appropriate, that there are no mistakes in the invoicing. And that is something that we do to maintain our financial controls through our audit process. So a bill presented in such a limited format is something that could be problematic for us moving forward, given that it is the outside counsel that the commission chose. I need to verify that you all have had that opportunity to review the itemized bill and have you vote on actually directing me through a majority vote to pay it. That way we ensure our financial controls and integrity to those controls that are expected of us from our taxpayers as we are stewards of their money. So with that, it is both a budget item. It is also an item that we want to make sure that everyone's had an opportunity to verify this bill. So thank you.
Chair Newts, can I hand over to you? I feel like you've worked on this some.
Yeah. So I would just start by saying that this was an attorney recommended to us through NMIA and the league. But I just want to clarify that point right out of the gate. And then the second thing is, I did forward you our attorney's information, Mrs. Lowry. Did you have a chance to ask her when you were following up about the bill to see if she was able to check in with all the commissioners? Because obviously that's something that we can't do as a commission, is deliberate outside of the meeting.
The only thing that you and I had discussed with regards to reaching out to Attorney Crosby was the split out between fiscal years, because the bill covered it crossed fiscal years. So I certainly needed at least a breakout.
And so you got that?
Yeah, I do have that.
Okay.
She is the commission's attorney, so I don't believe that it is my role to ask her about
Sure.
the itemized billing. That would be something for you all to handle internally, given she is your counsel, not mine.
Did you? So you didn't have a chance outside of the meeting to check in with other commissioners either? I just am trying to get clarity because I know I was out sick.
Not specifically, no.
Okay. So Vice Chair Kale, I was going off the protocol of Jordan's recommendations to us based on attorney-client privileges and the way that she said invoicing is done. I don't know if she has had conversations with every commissioner, because that would be a violation of open meeting laws if all the commissioners were meeting together outside of meetings or having walking meetings. So I guess it would be on each of us to answer for ourselves if we've had a chance to communicate with Jordan about the invoice.
Okay, thank you, Chair Newts. Commissioner?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Short.
Yes, I contacted Attorney Crosby to get the itemized bill because we did add to the scope of the work. And I was told that I have to get that from the chair. And at this point, I guess I'm requesting that to be able to review to make a decision on paying this bill. Thank you, I yield.
Thank you, Commissioner Schwartz. Commissioner Chair Newt.
I have I'm not sure the best way to proceed. I have an idea, but I would want to ask you to see if there's staff that could help us answer the question. Potentially one thing we could do is, well, I could either forward the email to commissioners, or I don't know how we do a share screen with recording. We'd have to like close the meeting just for commissioners if we did a shared screen. Or we could like delay the vote if we needed to forward the email so commissioners had time to review it outside of the meeting. So I think we probably have a few options because this is the first I'm hearing. Again, I was sick, so I might have missed an email, and my apologies if I did. But this is the first time hearing that not all commissioners have seen it. So Vice Chair Kale, I would ask you to, I mean, I think we have a few options.
Yeah, I think that we do too. Commissioner Schwartz, I think let's ask you. I have seen the bill, and I apologize, I didn't realize that others had not either. Commissioner Schwartz, what do you feel more comfortable with? We certainly can delay the vote push the vote until the next meeting and make sure that everyone has seen that itemized bill, so then we can vote on that appropriately at the next meeting.
Yeah, I feel more comfortable voting on it, you know, seeing an itemized bill on that. All I was forwarded initially was the total at that. So I'd be happy with a printed copy and a sealed envelope delivered to City Hall, or however staff thinks best protocol would be. Jordan did email the stuff, all the documents to us. So, I mean, if that's secure enough, I'm happy with that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Schwartz. Chair Newt, how about that you make sure to go ahead and forward that invoice to the rest of the commission so that they have that invoice to look over, and then they will have the ability. And I would just direct the commission at this point, if you had questions about what you might see on that itemized bill, that then you reach directly out to our attorney to ask her to go ahead and question that. Obviously, we won't discuss that amongst ourselves on that email, so just reach out directly. And then I would suggest that if those questions aren't answered appropriately for you, then to reach out to Chair Newts directly to see if there's any issues. And then I would suspect then we can go ahead and just push this agenda item to our next agenda. I might need a little help in how we make that motion, if we need to make a motion or we just push to the next agenda.
There's one more thing I want to add, Vice Chair Kale,
yes,
for me.
of course, sorry.
One thing that Jordan impressed upon me is the itemized bill is only for the commissioners because of attorney-client privilege, because what is on the invoice is part of our agreement that is just between our attorney and the five of us. And so I can forward you the email, the initial email that indicates that as well, that she sent me. And my apologies that you all haven't seen it. Like I said, I was not aware. So thanks for bringing it to my attention. And I think we have to we can do a motion to table, I think. Or a motion to postpone with like the date that it will come back on the agenda.
Yeah, I would prefer, I know in the initial engagement letter, that was out on the 22nd of April. From that meeting, there are some payment requirements for prompt payment and such. So I would prefer that when you guys do make a motion, that you put it on for the next meeting so that it is on to be decided and determined, because I certainly wouldn't want to hold Attorney Crosby or their firm up from that.
I think that that makes perfect sense. And I just need to know is, I want to make sure that we have the right wording, and maybe Chair Newts may need to help me with this. Do we table until the next meeting? Is table the correct motion? I just want to make sure we're doing that properly.
I think we can ask the city attorney too, but I think tabling or postponing with the date, either way, I think can get us to the same end goal, but I would defer to Councillor Llewellyn.
Ms. Llewellyn?
If you make a motion to table, you need to do that to a date certain, but then when you come back to discuss it, you have to make a motion to take it off the table before you can have the discussion. So the motion to postpone to the next meeting is less wieldy and more straightforward on the back end than a motion to table.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to postpone action item C. I'm on the right page.
And Quinn, would you put the date in that, which would be September 6th is our next meeting? Is that correct?
I need a second from you.
Yeah. Second,
Okay. So we have a motion from Schwartz and a second from Friedman. Faith, I want to make sure you got that whole motion because it broke up on me. So I want to make sure we have the motion.
Motion to postpone action item C to September 6th, 2022, second by Friedman.
Thank you. All right. And then I think I probably will need some direction here as well from Ms. Llewellyn and Ms. Lowy. Do we open this up to public comment?
Yes, we have a motion.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I just wanted to make sure. So let's go ahead and open this up to public comment. You may raise your hand, come off mute, or put your name in the chat. I see, looks like Larry has got his hand up. So Larry, full name and address, please.
Larry Stevenson, 26 Sapphire Flat Trail, south of town. And my question would be the same as what I asked the day the initial discussion occurred. Is there a date certain when the taxpayers are going to see what they bought?
Is that your comment, Larry?
That's my question. Are we going to get a chance to see this report, and at what time?
We're taking public comment now, so we don't answer directly. Do you have any further public comment?
All right, I'll be asking the judge to have that taken care of. So if you haven't seen it yet, you will. That's all I got for now.
Any other public comments? One more time, public comment. Take your name, put your name in the chat, raise your hand, or come off mute. I see no more public comment. Public comment is closed. All right. Commissioners, any further deliberation or discussion? I see none. Let's go to roll call, please.
Vice Chair Kale.
For.
Chair Newts.
For.
Commissioner Friedman.
or
Commissioner Schwartz.
Or
Commissioner Lyons.
Or
Motion passes. All right, we are now moving into a closed executive session. Miss Lowy, is there anything you want to say here before we do this?
I did email you some language for closing the session, Vice Chair Kale. If you have that in front of you.
Hold on just a second. Okay, I got it. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so there is an issue of litigation defense that needs to be addressed by the commission. Any decision made by the commission will be done in an open portion of the meeting after the commission has been informed of the issue. We'll now close the meeting for a litigation defense discussion. So folks, if you're going to be put into a waiting room, we will go into closed session and then we will be back.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, let them all back in.
Dave, please let me know when everyone's in.
We have a few that are still joining.
Okay.
Okay, one more.
Okay. So we are back into our open public meeting. First, I would like to ask for a motion to extend because we are going to extend past our usual time. So may I have a motion to extend the meeting, please?
I'll make a motion to extend.
Hold for your question, or what are we doing?
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion to extend from Newt, a second from Schwartz. All in favor of motion extension, please say aye.
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 Okay, thank you. So the meeting will extend. We are at our break time as well. So we are going to take a, do we need 5 or 10?
I think 5 would be fine.
5, okay.
Or 5. Yeah, I think 5 is okay.
Okay.
We don't have much left on the agenda either, so.
Yeah, we don't. So 5-minute break and we'll be right back. So let's do that and we'll see you back in 5 minutes. Meeting. Thank you, Faith. So we'll go ahead and continue the meeting now. We are at action item E. Discuss, approve, deny litigation decision. And do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve action item E, which is to settle the life insurance claim of $68,000 the estate of Michael J. Cardis from general fund reserves.
Second.
I have a motion from Schwartz and a second from Friedman. We'll go ahead and open it up to public comment. Is there any public comments? I'm going to remind folks that we will not be taking any comments speaking directly about individuals, but you certainly can make other public comments on this item. Opening it up to public comment. If you have a public comment, please come off mute, raise your hand, or put your name in the chat. I am seeing none. Faith, help me out. Are we seeing anyone?
I don't see anyone.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, one more time, public comment on action item E. All right, closing public comment. Any discussion or deliberation, commissioners? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Vice Chair Kale,
4.
Chair Newts,
4.
Commissioner Friedman,
4.
Commissioner Schwartz,
4.
Commissioner Lyons,
4.
Motion passes. All right, that brings us to the end of our meeting here and to city manager comments. Mrs. Lowy, any comments?
Thank you, Vice Chair Kelly. I have a couple. We are continuing to encounter behavioral issues at the skate park. This has come to include harassing staff, screaming of vulgarities. There has been firecrackers thrown at people, vandalism, destruction of property, to the point that we are now reaching out directly to parents as well as working with juvenile probation in hopes of finding some kind of a solution that does not involve banning these certain repeat offenders from the skate park, but we may very well get to that point because of the escalating behavior as well as the fear that it is causing in not only staff, but also in other patrons and other citizens that are now saying they will not use the skate park with their family because of the abhorrent behavior occurring down there. So in case you all become aware of it or hear about it through kind of through the grapevine, like we all do hear about these things, want to let you know that we are working on it collaboratively, both with juvenile justice, with law enforcement, as well as with city staff that are in that immediate area. And wanted to save the best news for last. We have hired a director of planning who will begin hoping we can find housing, but we're working on that very diligently. We're hoping that she will be starting sometime in early to mid-October. So that's actually a pretty quick start date for a relocation. She's super excited to be joining us, and she brings a wealth of planning experience as well as, and I know some of you will be really thrilled with this, bike and pedestrian planning experience, as well as overall community planning experience. So want to let you know, I'm not sure if she's actually given her formal notice yet, so I'm not going to reveal any names at this point. So we'll wait for the big reveal here coming up. So very excited to have that position filled. So with that, I yield. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lowy. That's so exciting. Oh my goodness. So let's go ahead and do commissioner comments, and we'll start with Commissioner Lyon.
Thank you. Congrats, Ms. Lowy, in your role as city manager and as HR in filling that position. One is not keeping up with current events if you're not aware of the fact that it's difficult to fill positions, and you know, especially in our climate. And so I guess anyway, so that's a huge accomplishment, and I'm sincere in saying that I'm proud of you and the city and for accomplishing that. So thank you so much. Also would like to congratulate Vice Chair Kale on a third meeting well run. I'd like to say there's been a learning curve, but I really think that you started at a really high bar. So nice work in doing that again, and I yield.
Thank you, Commissioner Lyon. Commissioner Schwartz.
Definitely echo what Commissioner Lyon said, and just a general shout out. Thank you to all the staff and people that work for the city for keeping up a high level of service through these difficult times of the flood and everything else that we've had to deal with. Keep up the great work. It's greatly appreciated and definitely noticed. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you, Commissioner Schwartz. Commissioner Friedman.
Yeah, ditto.
All right, sir. Thank you. Chair Newt.
I want to start by offering my deepest gratitude to you, Vice Chair Kale, for 3 weeks or 3 meetings in a row with one unexpected thing after another happening in my life. So thank you also for helping me during this weird body experience that I'm having where I need a little extra help. I really am like so grateful to you. Yeah, I second everything that Tori said. Thank you so much. And I feel like I'm going to channel Darrell Hoagland a little bit, who would be telling us all about school starting this week if she were still on the commission. So school's starting this week, everybody. So watch out for the kids running around, walking around, biking around, and welcome back to all the public schoolers and getting back in the swing for all the homeschoolers too that take time off in the summer. And that's exciting. I yield.
Thank you. Thanks, Chair Newts. And I am honored to be a part of this commission and honored to be able to run meetings when it needs to be done. So thank you for all of your accolades on that. I appreciate it. But certainly I'm looking forward to Chair Newts getting back in the chair over here too. So, but thank you very much. Mrs. Lowy, thank you. I'm so excited about this planner and I can't wait to meet her. So gosh, it would be wonderful if we could do a meet and greet of the commission or something when she gets here. Or with the staff. That seems exciting and fun, and would love to see if we can maybe do something like that. Yes, school is starting, and I'm also going to remind folks that there is a bear fair tomorrow at the farmers market. So if you want to learn about living with bears like we all do, there's going to be lots of cool things happening at the farmers market tomorrow around bears, fun things for all ages. I think you even get to spray inert bear spray at a bear. So it'd be super fun. So just wanted to let folks know about that as well. And that's all I have. And thank you all to the staff for helping us through another meeting this evening. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second? I don't know if I need a second. Thank you. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So I am closing this meeting of the Livingston City Commissioner on August 23rd at 8:43 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.